All right, the Steelers' relationship with Ben Roethlisberger seemed messed up for a while, and my instincts, for once, were correct. For once. And I'll take it. I'll take it. You roll the dice. You develop your opinions. You articulate your opinions, and you hope that the passage of time will prove that you were at least reasonably in the ballpark of reality. What did I say for the past 4 weeks? Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger supposedly want to continue their relationship, dancing around the issue of $19 million due and payable to Ben Roethlisberger in 2021. Quiet. Peaceful. Nothing. They could have gotten this done very quickly if he was going to make his $19 million. Well, new deal announced today. Multiple reports indicate the $19 million will not be made by Ben Roethlisberger. He has taken a $5 million haircut with nothing in return. Now, he gets a lot of his pay this year in the form of a signing bonus, but he would have anyway. It's going to be $13.925 million as a signing bonus, 12, excuse me, let me get the numbers right. $12.925 million in the form of a signing bonus, $1.075 million in the form of a salary, $14 million total compensation package for Ben Roethlisberger, $5 million left on the table. Cap savings of $14 million. That is aimed at spreading that $12.9 million signing bonus out as far as possible. It feels like this will be his last year. They'd have to rework the contract again, obviously, next year to satisfy whatever relationship they would want to continue to engage in. But I think this is it. I think that Ben may be at some level a little bit miffed that they used against him his statement from a few weeks ago that I don't care how much pay I get this year. You know, they could have at least did for Ben what they did with Peyton Manning in 2015 in Denver. They took away $4 or $5 million from him, but they put it in the form of an incentive that he would earn back completely if they won the Super Bowl. And he did. So that's not there for Ben. They can win the Super Bowl and he's still getting $14 million this year. Not a bad payday if you can get it, but $5 million less than he was supposed to make. We have Charean Williams now via Zoom, always capable of coming up with an alternative patch on the fly if need be, as I try to fill until Charean comes up on the screen. Maybe we don't have Charean. There she is. All right, Charean. First reaction when you saw that Ben Roethlisberger is making $5 million less this year than he was supposed to make?
Not surprised, Mike. You know, I think this is the move that had to be made for both sides if he was going to come back. It gives him one more opportunity to go try to win a Super Bowl. And the Steelers get a bridge quarterback for another year. They've eventually got to find his replacement. I don't think his replacement's on the roster. I mean, Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph, I guess we'll see. I know they want to see what Dwayne Haskins has, but they're going to have to find, Mike, a franchise quarterback, whether it's in the draft this year, whether it's next year, whether it's a free agent next year, whatever they do. Let me ask you this. If you're ranking the quarterbacks in the division, do you have Ben fourth? I think maybe third just based on Joe Burrow's injury. But, you know, that to me says something that he's the third or fourth quarterback probably in that division right now.
Yeah, obviously Lamar Jackson's one. If healthy, Burrow's two. Between Mayfield and Ben, right now I don't know. But here's what we have to do. We have to project forward. He turned 39 2 days ago. How healthy will he be? How effective will he be? Is he in the process of breaking down? Can he stay healthy all year long? And I still think there's a chance both parties are going to regret this come November or December. But if the Steelers end up saying, why did we do it? They can at least say, hey, we saved $5 million in the process. And that is not as much, frankly, as I thought they were going to squeeze out of his $19 million, but it's more in line with what his value would be. No one else would have paid him $19 million if he was available this year. Would someone else have offered him $14 million? Possibly. I could see the Bears saying, we'll pay you $14 million for 1 year and we'll roll the dice if the Bears didn't have any better alternatives. So it's a win-win. He said he didn't care. He's made a lot of money, and he's coming back for, by all appearances, one more year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, although this is, in my mind, far different from the Jerome Bettis one more year of 2005, which ended in a Super Bowl win for the Steelers. I think the Steelers are a lot farther, Charean, from the top of the conference than they were when Jerome Bettis came back for one last ride.
Isn't it so funny to say that, Mike, too? Because we're talking about a team that started last season off 11-0, right? And we were talking about them possibly being a Super Bowl contender, and they won the division, and then it was just a dud at the end of the season. And I think that's what you worry about with Ben, is the first half of the season, he looked like a $14 to $20 million quarterback. After that, he did not. I think he had 5 interceptions in December, and we know how the playoff game turned out. Not very well for the Steelers. He didn't play very well in that game. So I think that's what you worry about. Can he hold up for an entire season? 2019, we know he only played 2 games. Didn't even get through the second game when he had the elbow injury and coming back off of that. He's played more games than Terry Bradshaw did after his elbow injury. But the Steelers need more out of Ben Roethlisberger if they're going to have a chance. They have so many free agents, Mike, this year. I think they have 19 unrestricted free agents, Juju and Bud Dupree among those. I just don't know what the future is for this team. They always seem to be in contention every single year since 2003. But right now, as we sit here today, I don't see this as one of the teams we're talking about in the AFC to go win the AFC.
Yeah, contention for the playoffs, they always are. And anything can happen. And we've seen them pull the proverbial inside straight. 2005, when they were left for dead as a 6th seed, they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So they're capable of grossly exceeding reduced expectations. The expectations will be lower this year. Last year, even when they were 11-0, they didn't have that many impressive wins. I thought the Browns would beat them during the regular season, not in the postseason. I got those two flipped around, but that's when they had an impressive win. And then another time against the Bengals, I thought Cincinnati had a chance to beat them, and that was an impressive win. But, they struggled with the Ravens. They should have lost to the Ravens in Baltimore. They had a lot of games that easily could have been lost as it caught up with them. They stepped into a hole. They couldn't get out of it. They had that late season win against Indy that reestablished things, but it wasn't nearly enough to get to where they wanted to go, and they were obviously bumped out in the wild card round. So I don't know how much better they're going to be this year. They do need to find another quarterback sooner than later, though. They can't go 20 years like they did between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger, just floating from mid-level guy to mid-level guy. Every once in a while, there'd be a flash. Cordell Stewart was on a roller coaster where he would develop confidence, and then something would happen, it would bottom out, and then he would slowly build his confidence back. That's not sustainable. Neil O'Donnell was not sustainable, especially when in his last game he found a wide-open Larry Brown twice in Super Bowl 30. The only problem is Larry Brown was not the Larry Brown who played for the Steelers in the 70s. He was the Larry Brown who played for the Cowboys in the 90s. So they've got their work cut out for them. And you almost have to bottom out. You have to have a bad, uncharacteristic Steelers season to get yourself into a point where you can go grab a great quarterback in the draft, Charean.
Yeah, you look at what the Ravens did a few years ago with Lamar Jackson, drafting him late. You hope maybe one of those guys falls down to you and he's a quarterback that can be your franchise quarterback. Or maybe you get lucky with a Jalen Hurts or a Dak Prescott later in the draft after the first round. That can come out and be your franchise quarterback. There are other ways to do it, certainly. And when we look at the top quarterbacks, none of them were top 5 quarterbacks. So I think they have to evaluate those quarterbacks, Mike, hard. And if they like one of those guys and think he can be their franchise quarterback, I think they either have to move up a little bit and try to draft him or wait and see if he falls down to him. But they're getting to the point now. I mean, I think we all agree this is probably Ben Roethlisberger's last season, if he can stay healthy enough even to make it through this entire season. But they've got to find that guy sooner than later. They're running out of time here.
Yeah, Steelers picking at number 24 this year, and 6 quarterbacks that could go in the first round. And you never know who's going to be left by the time we get down there. And we've seen the Steelers in the past, whether it was for Santonio Holmes, Troy Polamalu, they'll move up if they want to go get a certain guy. And maybe they fall in love with Mac Jones or decide they want Trey Lance or whoever it may be. And this would be better for them than waiting until after Ben's gone. And this would be the equivalent of taking Dan Marino in 1983, which they didn't do, in part because they had Terry Bradshaw, but they didn't know they'd only have him for 8 more passes for his career. If they'd have known that Bradshaw was done, they undoubtedly would have taken Dan Marino. They know going into this season that Ben Roethlisberger's likely done, so maybe they'll get one of those 6 quarterbacks in round 1.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights. From NBC Sports.